Uh, Apologies for that false start. It's online here now. Oh man, apologies for that false start. Sometimes the tethering, the mobile hotspot, it wasn't acknowledging the USB cable. So I just decided to be a pain in the ass for me. So you all hear me, right? Looks like everything is fine. All right. Had a little bit of a false start there. My apologies. All right, word 60. Jam. Chad, Boy, YZU, word 60. All right, loud and clear. Good, good. All right. All right. Yeah, so I wanted to just start off slowly, but surely, as we always do. My email, materials, the column. If you have any questions about any of the columns, you're always welcome to ask about any of the columns. You know what I mean? Whenever they're written, it doesn't have to be just the last column. Anything that I might have said that was unclear. Sometimes I get artistic with them, so they have a longer value. This happens to be the way that I tend to write, so. And at least think, right? So. Yep, start at the beginning at the top of the list, right? But okay, I'm just trying to. Okay. Okay, I'm just sharing a link on available social media. That way people can tune in. And then don't have any students here. It's been the case for a while. I gotta say that because of this COVID, I've never had a stretch this long where students just didn't come in the classroom, and it's weird. It's weird. And we could continue it that way because I don't want anybody to feel endangered and stuff. I'm forgetting what song it is though, but I think that's Havoc, not how. It's a Mobb Deep song, but it's not. It's not Prodigy. Yeah, it's Situation like this, another war story from a thirsty young hustler. Yeah. Is it Prodigy? I gotta get the voice. No, it is Prodigy. Yeah, yeah. It's just, his voice is so young. This is yeah, eye for an eye, eye for an eye, eye for an eye. Yeah, eye for an eye. Yeah, yeah. It's Prodigy from Eye for an Eye. One of the greatest songs ever made. Show you that symbol. You know, just have a song that has everything in it, every skill, every technique. Uh, Slang, unheard of flows, you know, it's impeccable. Such a weird P.E.A.C.E. All right. You know, I have so many books, and people, I keep getting emails from people asking me for the one books I don't have. Let me check something out because there might be a place. I can't remember that site. Let's see it here. Okay, yeah. I see what happened here. This is a really, really old site, but you can go old school and use some of this, the archive of this site, to get some of this stuff, um, to get some of these books. Somebody was asking me about different Elijah books, and really only have like a few digitally, but this one has How to Eat to Live, books 1 and 2, you know, and some other information that, you know, you could look through and sift through and stuff. I don't think that this site exists anymore, so it's really like some special archive kept it up. And even though I'm doing these, there's still great stuff that the Guardian from Mecca is putting up on Law School of Mecca page. Even though me and Darkim are streaming our classes, um, you know, that only leaves more time and more room to get other stuff. This is one of the one of the latest clips he took. That was not may have been live streamed. I don't know. Not for me though, because I was in the classroom and it was very early this year, pre-COVID, right before COVID. So that video has some stuff in there too. Just putting out some resources there. So today is the knowledge day. So this is always the toughest class. Everybody's answers are going to be wrong to me. Everybody's answers are not going to be good enough. Everybody's answers are going to be in the beginning, a very early stage. So that means that you should be more daring to throw out things. The classroom is the laboratory. If you have no guts, if you have no wherewithal to throw what you think might be right, there is no other place to throw out what you think might be right, because in the safe zone, although it could be harsh zone of the classroom, where you throw out your insight that is developing, not yet mature, not yet not yet useful outside, could be analyzed. So, knowledge is the foundation for which all things cometh. I see you got tried to get Shakespearean at the end. I don't know if that was a typo, but why? Why is knowledge a foundation? Right? Why is you? That was Word 60 said that. I'm criticizing Word 60. True statements supposedly. Why? Right? So we want to know why. Did the knowledge? Why is you did the knowledge to universal law degree? Oh, that's peace. Today's math is knowledge, and you, the maker, the owner of your foundation, to be that creator who creates, and knowing Allah is my foundation. Right? Okay. Chad, why do I say what? What did I say? If you get today wrong, if you get answers that relate to today wrong, or if you get the origins of everything are in today's degree, so that means that the origins of every flaw in your education usually come today. The origin of terrible answers, the origin of cliches being given, the aura of useless hyperbole being used, the aura of religious connotations to build peace come in. These are usually all come in today, you know. Peace. All right, what's going on, brother? All right, no doubt. I'm all right. Say again. Sí, estoy online también.
Sí,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. It's online too, so you know what I mean. Say peace to everybody.
Peace.
You know? But grab a seat, brother. Hang out a little bit. Oh, you know what I mean? Go siento.
Okay.
All right. Oh, why do I say everyone's answers will be wrong though? Because I don't want them to be right today. Okay, I want to challenge you. Understand that this is the builds on the knowledge day, the first day. Those are always where everybody says the cliches. You know, who's the original man? Blah blah blah. You know, I don't want it to be dry. If you can get something insightful, if you can ask yourself the right questions off the answers, right? Then you can do something, right? So word 60 says, because it all starts from a thought. Okay, and then what's the process by which everything starts from a thought? How is that? What are some of the sciences you would quote to prove that something started from a thought? You see, because supreme mathematics is logic based, so you can use logic to shore that up and seal it up. But what else? So you have that you can use. But what? And then also, what else would you add to that? Okay. Right? Because when you say everything started from a thought, not everyone bears witness to that. Some people would bear witness to that for all the things that you see that are evidently man-made, but then not so with other things. Right? So how do we do that? Okay. Wise you say, as all things starts with the foundation, first lesson in martial arts is stance, must have a strong stance first and foremost. Okay. And wise you, one of the ways that I'm talking about is if you were teaching martial arts and you said you have to have a strong foundation, a strong stance first, there are people that don't know anything about martial arts, though, so they don't really get that point. You know what I mean? But this is where like certain people will punch you, they'll push you, make you fall, whatever. But how would you describe that? What would happen though if he didn't have a foundational stance, right? How would you describe that? Right? You would be describing and saying that everything that you would try to do to defend yourself or secure your safety would all be originating from that root, right? And the continuation of that foundation of that root, right? And then you would come closer to making that person understand it, right? And of course, in the martial way, we wouldn't always explain it, though. We would probably just, push them and stuff. Show them is better. All right, see, this is what I mean. Right answers, but not exact to what I am asking for. Okay, 793rd, foundation cornerstone. Blah. Yes, I know, right? Today's mathematics, and that Jammy Jam says knowledge. Knowledge is foundation. The sun is the foundation of our solar system. Everything comes from the sun. As the sun takes hydrogen through stages of a process turning hydrogen into helium and making manifest. Okay, there's a using metaphors, right? Metaphors. Okay. 793rd continued. Set your feet, balance your weight accordingly over your center foundation. Right. Word 60 said, mind over matter, meaning mental before physical, is by math the best logical way to deter error. And what if somebody didn't believe that? Do you have the example of an error? Do you have an example of an error, right? Somebody does something wrong. Do you have the example of an error of how that would have been mathematically incorrect? See? You can't ask somebody what's wrong? What did you do wrong? They're not going to know what they did wrong. So you got to have examples. You know what I mean? Okay. The more cliche, the more expected your answers are to this day's degrees, mathematics, ideas, the more impaired you will be continuing on. You say the same shit everybody else says. You won't be able to adapt to what people say. Okay? Okay, so somebody says, well, everything man-made was made by man. I get it. You know what I mean? That's why we call it man-made. But what about the planets and the stars and all of that? How was that made? Right? And it gets stuck. It's the foundation. It's like us. But then we talk about the building blocks of what makes man, from the cell to the root. The ideas of quantum mechanics turning matter and energy into a decision-making process. The reality that everything that we do is based on a synergy with everything around us, right? So if everything started with the mind, then that means everything around us, though, is basically a product of what our mind has created to give us a synergy in that complete cipher. And that goes even before this form of this human body. Right? What is a foundation? Knowledge is a foundation. It starts first. Nothing is created unless it is known. And then how it is known, it is that it is created. Okay? So knowledge is that what? That always created idea. That always created idea. Knowledge is the original idea. Every idea you have, everything.
So for that is the father, right?
Mm-hmm.
The man.
Mm-hmm.
Is the moon, right? The knowledge.
The knowledge, no, the sun, the sun, yeah.
The sun. The moon is the
wisdom.
Wisdom.
That's right. That's right.
Wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's right. Right.
So in the alphabetic is the A, right? So Allah.
He is Allah.
What can you tell me about that letter? Because I have the alphabet, but I know really. I got the idea, but really, I don't know. I didn't talk with somebody about that,
Allah is the most complete word. The word God means supreme being, right? Allah includes one and all. So when we say Allah, it includes you and me, all. Or as we say, arm, leg, arm, head, right? So Allah is a more complete word, okay? It's the only difference. Allah is a more complete word than God, and that's why we use it, right? Peace, self-elevation. How you doing, God? Everything is peace? All right. Let's move on. Everybody not to be in cliches here. Speaking of Kung Fu, do you know whose born day is today? All right. What about Kung Fu? Very famous legend was born today. Word 60 says, conning originals into slavery in America has further condemned the colored man. I know deep inside at night he who gets it for the consequence of time are greater than the pleasure. Think so? Think he regrets it? I think many might regret that it was done, but the thinking colored man doesn't. He knows that it had to be done. You gotta understand that when it comes to slavery, Musa taught them how to build homes for themselves, but he taught them how to engage in the society. But he didn't teach them how to, he taught them trick knowledge to get embedded. But that was a temporary setup. If you look at European civilizations, they don't really prosper. They don't continue to prosper until they do what? Well, what's the number one rule of capitalism? Because capitalism is like the perfect system they devised to manifest the abuse of the great capital, the greatest assets, our mind and the land, right? I'm saying a lot, so I'm taking an awkward pause. European civilization has been constantly reinvigorated through expansion. The one thing you learn when you learn macroeconomics, right? My daughter is in the same college I went to, Baruch College in CUNY, and she's taking macroeconomics. That's a strong kid. And I told her I did all I could to veer away from it, though, but she took it anyway, and doing better at it than I did. But that's not saying much. But the number one rule with economy is that, or any business, is you have to expand, and the expansion of empire has always been the rule. And there's no way to expand the empire, though, if you don't have the right assets or the right way to funnel the assets, take the resources and turn them into capital assets. In other words, make them useful. And we take any European society, they never had that ability. They always faltered. They always failed. Okay. Before the Moors went into Spain, no, they were failed. They had failed. Spain was crumbling. Spain was almost done. And that's why the Moors never really invaded. They didn't invade by force. They invaded by welcome. So let them in. Okay. Right. And they thought it would be a perfect synergy, like some Latino cultures call rice and beans moros y cristianos. Right? The black and the white, the black beans and the white rice. Right? And it was like that for a while because the Moors didn't make them become Muslim. They just gave them civilization. They civilized them. But they didn't force their religion on them. It wasn't hard to not force the religion on them because there's nothing happening with Christian religion. There was nothing going on. They couldn't read, they couldn't write, they weren't bathing, right? So they didn't really have much choice, right? So for 700 years, from 700 to about 1300, right? 600, right? Can't say 600. The Moors blackened the population of Spain. Gave them mathematics, books, libraries, all the sort. Their innovations of bathing innovations, like the first bathrooms were called water closets, right? So all of these things, right? Good stuff. And then when the white man decided it was enough, and he had enough, take him out. Took him out. Right? That's why books like Golden Age of the Moor and stuff is such a crucial book. I don't know. I never thought about it, but because there's so little research about it, probably Golden Age of the Moor is probably the most important, has become the most important Ivan Van Sertima book. Because all of his other books, great scholars, including like the people that wrote in them, in the books that he made, they made their own books, you know what I mean? The African origins of civilization, all those other books, John Jackson books, right? A lot of these books, they add on. Not too much has been written about the Moors after, you know what I mean? Doesn't help that, Moorish Science Temple and the confusion of that, where you get no information about the history, right? You just get like, don't worry, we're protected under the law. Just have the name, switch your name to Bay, right? Cue Gladys Knight, the way we were. Can it be that it was all so simple, right? But okay, I have a lot of stuff to say today. So if you have anything that that you would like to ask and stuff, please do. Okay. Really, I'd like to see it though. I'd like to see it though. And Jamie Jam, I wonder if I said that with enough sarcasm. Sarcasm. I'm pronouncing it like that. It's like I'm causing a chasm of things. Did I say it's sardonic enough? Okay. Legal science for what? For what? Right? I'm being a pain in the ass today. I want you guys to know everything will suck if knowledge is corny. Knowledge is the foundation of all things in creation. I am a robot. Peep the flag and robot. You're going to be a robot. The foundation to what? People out there don't bear witness to knowledge, though. They're living off ignorance. And they continue to eat. Right? Then people, it seems like a generic fact. I know this. I don't need it. Right? But more Jammy Jam, you did ask, can you build on refinement? I'm trying to get more clarity on discipline and focus. The root of discipline, though, is the utilization of your most powerful emotions in the right way. That's the root of discipline. To transmute, to change those emotions that you have that are intense, whether useful or not, into the right activity. And you're either inspired because there's something, just like there's something that you need to do. Also know that discipline has its other motivator, the refusal to fail, right? Like Chuck D said, I refuse to lose, right? Refuse to lose, right? Whatever hardship, whatever horrible thing, whatever bad thing, and you know something is good and you feel depressed and you don't want to do it, and you know that it's good for you, it's going to be good for you, you ought to go do it. And if you can't do it because it's not good for you, then you do it because you won't let no one else see you lose. Don't let people let you lose. Don't let people watch you lose. People like to lose. They think it's okay. We got to talk about our problems. We got to talk about stuff, right? Yeah, I'm depressed and things like that. You go find a way to talk about it. But no matter how much you talk about how you're depressed and what is depressing you and all of this kind of stuff, the only thing that is going to be the motivator for you is either you know that doing this particular thing, proven right and exact, will do great for you, or you won't let anyone let you lose. It's really that damn simple. You know what I mean? In the ancient Asian text, though, the major thing that they always talk about, Maya text, the Buddhism, they talk about focus. You know what I mean? Right? Maya is illusion. Right? How not to get disillusioned, right? The ability to have focus. Don't look for focus, right? Is that Mr. G1? Mr. G1, I appreciate what you gave me last week, though. So it's a good, it was dope. It's definitely dope. You know what I mean? I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, definitely. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. You know what I mean? It's a pleasant surprise opening the bag, though. You know what I mean? You know, really appreciate that. How do you have focus? First, when you having focus means that you're able to complete a task as you decide to, the way that you will it, right? You're gonna do something and you actually do it. And then people lack focus, right? Why do they lack focus, right? Instead of saying that you're not, what usually happens is that people go, I fall asleep when I read. I always like using this example, right? Because I read a lot. You all know I read a lot, but I'm like everybody else, man. I read a book and I fall asleep, right? Just like anybody else. You know what I mean? I was on a ferry today, taking a ferry over here, right? The Staten Island ferry, though. And it wasn't musty, you know, like sometimes the ferry be musty and shit. Like, but it's a little cooler now, so the air was coming in nice and everything. So, you know, I start reading, and man, I couldn't read a damn thing. I read like one page, you know what I'm saying? Reread the paragraph because I lost my place, you know what I mean? And I'm tapping the phone, going to the wrong page, you know what I mean? Because I'm falling asleep and hitting the, you know. But usually people say, I don't have focus. Something's wrong with me. I don't have focus, right? Nah. The first thing that I do is never blame yourself as your nature of why you don't do something right and exact. You know? Now, if you're out there trying to dunk and you're my height, you know, maybe that's, you ain't got it there. I'm not talking about that, you know what I mean? But something really important, you know what I mean? Something that you should be able to do, something that needs to be done, right? Then instead of, you don't quit, and you certainly don't quit by defining the task as something that isn't fit for you, especially when it's mandatory, when it needs to be done because it's what's right and exact. It will actually add on to your growth and development. Instead of saying, well, I just won't grow and develop that way. This is what people do. They go, I won't grow and develop that way, right? What you do is you try to figure out instead, what are the answers and reasons that I could find that could actually answer why I can't do a certain task. What are the reasons I might not, you know? So if I'm falling asleep, it could be that I didn't get enough rest, right? Right. I already knew that's why I was resting. I usually take a post-workout nap, and I skipped it because life is hectic, so I didn't do it. And that little 10, 15 minute, 20-minute nap would have allowed me to read intensely at that moment, but I didn't take it. But because I know that, because I practiced, I realized that I might need rest to read better. But before I did that, I also checked to see what type of foods am I eating. Am I eating foods, though, that cause me to slow down? Am I overeating? You can eat the right foods, right? But if you overeat them, you know, and maybe you need to eat them, you want to get bigger and stuff like that, but you're not eating them correctly, because sometimes people want to gain weight. They'll use the right foods, but they'll eat them the wrong way. In other words, they'll eat too many at one shot instead of splitting up the meals, or they'll eat at the wrong times that are not suitable for them, right? Well, sometimes everybody's different, you know, with the suitability of time. The thing is, though, is that a lot of people lack discipline because their failures are reasoned as out of their control to fix. And now the reason that they are failing is part of their nature, as opposed to just being another part of the problem. You know what I mean? And that's always been the case. You know what I mean? That's always been the case. Also, to get used to failure. You have to get used to failure. And I don't mean get used to failure by accepting it and being okay, but what I mean is this. I'll give you an example. In my calendar, I have a whole bunch of things that come up in my calendar. I put every event, everything I'm going to do, everything I intend to do, new task, you know what I mean? I put everything in that calendar. It repeats itself every day, some of them, you know? Goals, pages to read, right? Specific things to do, training, different things, right? There are so many tasks on my calendar every day that it's nearly impossible to do them all. It's nearly impossible. For example, this year, I've never completed every task that was on it. Not once. You know what I'm saying? Not once. The point was, though, is to be a motivator to always be doing something. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about refinement, usually people are talking about refinement within either the degree, right? One have acknowledged wisdom, understanding, culture, refinement, is not savage in the pursuit of happiness, right? The culture is refined. It means that their way of life, though, always shows exactly what their understanding is. Can it be that? Can the culture be that? That everything you do will exemplify some aspect of your understanding. Man, some people that have been 5% don't even want that challenge. They want some savage time. Right? You know what I mean? Give me some savage time. Right? Fucking flakes. You know what I mean? Today's a knowledge day. I want to start you off right. You know what I mean? Because if you start off this month wrong, no, who knows? By the end of the month, you might be bearing witness to the boogeyman. You know what I mean? Might be believing all the Halloween shit. You know? You know when we say the babies are the greatest, though, right? This is the easiest holiday to embrace. If you're going to embrace a holiday, let the kids celebrate it, because it's one of the most creative holidays you could use for children. You know what I'm saying? You could teach them contrast. You could teach them, if you do it more Mexican, you know, the Mexican, right? They have all the mask and everything, and they go into those worlds and stuff. Yeah, playing Coco, you know what I mean? Right? That, you know, the movie Coco and everything, which is which I like, though. You know what I'm saying? You know, I like Coco because the concept of what I teach about when I say RIP, remembered imperfection, is in that movie. The people they only continue to exist once they return to the essence if they are remembered in this world. You know what I mean? The truth is, when anyone returns to the essence, that's the only thing we're doing with them. I don't know why people say sleep in this, sleep that, sleep this, rest. You don't know what the hell he's doing. What form is he in, though, that you know that he's just sleeping in this shit now? You know, I always think like this with two people. My old earth returned to the essence years ago, right? And I also think of this immediately with Freedom, Papa Wu. These two people I cherish, though, especially my old earth, my mom. And I'm like, wherever they went after they returned to the essence, they ain't sleeping. They ain't sleeping. They're doing things wherever they went. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes it's important to define things, especially when we deal with knowledge. Learn to define things as you can prove them as they are, as what you know. It starts with stuff like that. You don't know what people are doing. You go rest in peace and sleep in peace and shit like that. You don't know what they're doing. You know they're sleeping? Don't say that shit when I return, because you know I'm not sleeping where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm still not done earning the next cipher. And wherever it is, though, I'm going to be doing a lot of shit. Doing a lot of building. You know what I mean? The refinement is the daring to say that every time you live your culture, it will be an exacting reflection, presentation of your understanding. And some people don't do that. No. The knowledge day comes about though. Is there, when people reach the knowledge day in the month, is there one thing that you definitely do absolute? Or you say this is the knowledge day, they definitely have to, you know? Right? It was their time, right? It was there in a better place, right? Yeah, all we know is that wherever they're at, they are better. We also know that this universe is nearly all of it is made up of dark energy and dark matter. So there are aspects of this universe that we don't even know. You know? When you see the blackness of the universe, right? Space, that's actually the presence of all light. When light happens, we need light to shine on a specific area. So we can't really register it. So when this energy returns to the essence, has it gone somewhere else though? Or it's just we can't acknowledge it. We don't have the wherewithal to acknowledge it. See? This is what some people surmise though, and then they get mysterious though, and they say, yeah, that's why I see ghosts and shit like that, and I'm gonna call the ancestors to do shit for me, and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, they're busy. They're busy. The ancestors don't have time for your ass. The Father gave, think about the Father. The Father gave everything that you need to build, right? He gave you culture. He showed you your culture, showed you the knowledge of self, gave you supreme mathematics and explained them to you, lived them out himself, set up a chain of students that could make this lineage live on technically forever. But you need to go find him to ask him a question to help, get some help. Yeah, it's crazy. And people is busy, though. I don't know why you want to interrupt busy people. You know what I mean? But the discipline and focus. It takes discipline to constantly be looking at how your culture is lived out, to take notice of regular things, regular shit that you do. You know? How do you treat the bodeguero? You know what I mean? How do you treat the woman that you're interested in? How do you treat everyone? What is the language and the way that you speak to yourself? Everyone knows that you're the God, you have a righteous name, no, but really, the way you talk to yourself, you're just Joe, you know? Right? Johnny Smith. You talk to yourself like Johnny Smith. You know, there's no supremacy. There's no great expectation of what you ought to be doing. You know what I'm saying? You don't start the day and say, I'm the true living God. Just doing this, that, and then, you know, enjoying, well, I was going to say the final stuff, but who the hell's enjoying that, right? Watch LeBron get a Mickey Mouse chip, you know? Mickey Mouse chip. It's not a lot of fun. But to enjoy that game at the end of the day or the program, that's it. That's what we added on to do. You know what I mean? And I like all of them. I watch programs of all types and stuff. You know what I mean? Right? So the language that you speak to yourself, right? How do you speak to yourself? The way that you're going to build. You know what I mean? You go out there, you're supreme. You're the true and living God. Right? Everywhere. You go to the bathroom. You know what I mean? You make a mistake, though. You know what I'm saying? It's a fine-ass girl up there, and you're trying to walk smooth, and you trip up. You know what I'm saying? You say, you stupid mother, you know, in your head, or you go, come on, God, man, you know, whatever, you know? I'm going to come up smooth, you know? Whatever. What's the mentality? What's the way that you speak? You know what I mean? How comfortable discipline is also, the continuation of discipline is also how comfortable you are in failure. In other words, I don't mean like at the end of the day, you didn't do all these things. That's not like what I was talking about before. I mean, where you're actually in the middle of failure. You know what I'm saying? Like you're in the middle of doing something wrong. You know what I'm saying? How many people are oblivious and just let it go? You know what I mean? You go out to a show and shit, and now you're wilding out, though. You're in the middle of wilding out. You know? You had some Henny, though, and now it's, you know, it's 85 times, right? It's 85 times. It's not even the same anymore. Are you aware of that? Or are you just going to be like, I'm going to continue on. I'll just forget about all that. That's what people do. I forget about all that, you know? But if you're still eating the wrong foods, if you messed up, I want you to remember all that. You know what I mean? I want you to be in the moment while you mess up. You get angry and stuff and you lose your top and shit. You know you're wrong. Like you're in the middle of being wrong. Like you know you're wrong. Be aware of that shit. Maybe you could stop it right there or just acknowledge it and really go over it in your head later. Because usually people, after the fact, just think about the excuse that, oh, it'll never happen, and definitely, you know? But really think about it. Like, have the mettle, the METTLE, the mettle to think about. That shit can't happen again. What could I do to not have that shit happen again?
Yeah, really analyze.
Or be more effective. You know, sometimes we do stuff that could really wear us out. Like, you know, best example is when you have kids, right? Man, kids, they'll blow a fuse in you. So what do you do? Like you could get them to do stuff, and you could yell at them all the time, and you could, you know, get angry all the time. That shit will work, right? It'll work, right? But it's also destroying you. So now you gotta think like, man, I'm getting I'm getting the results, and we just leave it at that. That's just the way it gotta be. But then you also look like, you know, how I get better results though, you know, and is that gonna be good for the long term? You know what I'm saying? Right. Well, my kids, though, things when I yelled at them and stuff like that, I usually bring it up when they do the same thing again. And I say, listen, you know, what you did wrong made me yell all crazy and stuff like that. I'm not going to do that now. You know what I mean? I don't do the Bill Bixby and stuff like that. You know, you don't want to see me get like do that shit again. Like, you don't want to see me get angry again, do you? No, because it's not them that's going to trigger me. It's me that's going to trigger me. You know, that's messed up too. Don't do that to kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. like the kid is, you know, I will, you know, but I constantly tell them, like, you know, the way I was wrong. That wasn't the right way. You know? Especially if you got daughters though, right? You don't want them to get used to being yelled at, because when they grow up though, they think that that's okay. They could be yelled at and shit like that. You know what I mean? They could be treated aggressively. You know what I'm saying? That's a big deal, man. You know? That's right, 793, right? But you see, you said, Ayo God, like, are you looking at yourself like, so supreme being? You know? Do you look at days you had and say, like this was a fun day, but I didn't really do nothing. You know, I wasted the day. I go every day. I say, I kind of wasted some of the hours and shit like that. And then I have to remind. Sometimes I judge wrong. Sometimes I always say I wasted the day, and I say, oh yeah, but I was doing this. You know what I'm saying? I was talking to them or something like that. You know what I mean? I try to make every moment useful, so that way when I have a useless moment, though, it fits right in. You know what I'm saying? Right? Pretty much mostly every sports moment is a useless moment, Especially now watching the bubble, right? It's been hot trash.
So scripted, yeah.
It's been hot trash, you know what I mean? Every good team just chokes, I have a crazy theory about that, by the way. The bubble, why it went the way it went, you know what I mean? I say it the nice way. It's about women. These guys, they used to have women all the time, Because it's not what they say, like, oh, look, the trials, the hells of all what's going on in the world. Do you know that the NBA bubble in Disney, in Orlando, is the only place probably ever in the American history where you can say black men resided in the place for over, 5, 6, right? Maybe 4 months, right? So let's give it a take. For 4 months, and there was I'm going to say, because, percentages always vary, pretty much a near 0.0000001% chance that they would get killed by police. So deep down, they're not worrying. They're already millionaires, right? So they're not as worried as we are about police, right? Because they could be identified as an athlete and things like that. You know what I mean? And the way that whites categorize and, just like that, do the right thing. He's a nigger. He's not a nigger anymore. Magic's not a nigger. You know what I mean? Right? Michael Jackson's not a nigger. You know what I mean? But I've never seen that in history. A place where for at least 3-4 months, though, we could actually guarantee that no black man in that cipher would be killed by the white man. There's no way that they don't feel safe and comfortable enough to play basketball. You put me in a cipher like that, though, I'll dunk the next game. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got to walk. I ain't got to see no craziness. I ain't got to worry about nothing. Don't tell me that bubble doesn't. Don't tell me that bubble adds stress. That eliminated stress. But unless you remember that until the last couple of weeks, right before the playoffs, they ain't have no Power U in there. That's it. That's my theory. And that's why the Miami Heat are my greatest proof of that. Miami Heat, where they play? Miami. There's Power U everywhere. There's frivolous Power U everywhere, right? There's girls everywhere, right? They go into that bubble. They're like, yo, we can finally concentrate. You know what I'm saying? This is my theory. I said theory. It's my theory. They could finally concentrate, though. Jimmy Butler was probably going in on everything. Tyler Hero, rookie, he was like, woo. You know what I mean? He's probably, Cubans, Puerto Rico, he probably never had, never seen any of that shit. Miami. They say all the time, though, clubs be playing sloppy when they go play Miami. They be sluggish when they play Miami, right? Yeah. Why do you think that? Yeah. This is not Denver. There's no higher altitude. No, it's that brothers wasted the lower altitude, right? They wasted the lower altitude chi, right? That's my theory. So all these guys, they needed that. You know what I'm saying? They need to have them women around. Then you also add, though, right? It's just not Power U, right? It could be their wives. It could be their children, right? They miss their children. Don't tell me that they're worried about COVID like that because they got money. They could keep their families in quarantine easily, right? There's no problem. It's not like, damn man, what are we gonna do? Like, like we gotta be quarantined. How am I gonna get this money? How am I gonna get this food? Right? Nah, no. We had the third world problems in this first world country. They were still first worlders. They were still first worlders. You know what I mean? So now we see everything happen. Though. We see guys choke, right? Look at my proof. Clippers, right? Clippers.
Yeah.
Lou Williams was trash. It's trash. First chance he got to go out, though, where did he go? You go to a funeral and then you go to strip club? How do those two equate? Does that make sense? He didn't go there for chicken. He went there for chicken heads, right? He didn't go for, right? They got everything in Orlando. They get you that food. Don't tell me Orlando ain't got no food. They got good food there. You know what I mean? That's right, 782. I'm telling you, how do people do without distractions versus the culture that they have with all the distractions? Some people that usually are doing great is because they're mastering distractions, and that's part of discipline, part of focus. You've mastered distractions. Like, for example, right? I always thought that I couldn't write though unless I was like New York. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to hear like everything, the wildness, everything like that. You know, the city. I need to hear the city that never sleeps. You know what I mean? Need to be around violence though. Then you live in a gentrified neighborhood and shit like that. You know what I mean? Listen to bad, corny music, folk songs and shit. I'm still writing that tough stuff. I'm in Staten Island. No, I'm not in 10305. I'm in 10304. I'm not in 10304. I'm 10305. You know what I mean? I'm not in Killer Hills. I'm in Pillow Hills. It's sweet. It's sweet where I'm at. It's comfortable. You don't hear no dogs barking. You don't hear like animals going nuts, even though they got them, right? You hear crickets. That's it. That's why you hear crickets and shit. No? I still write the fire shit. Still write the heaters, right? Still write the grime. It's how you deal with distractions, but some people are so into the idea of distractions. I've seen it with artists all the time. They could write all the stuff that they're talking about, but they get so used to it though. They need to have this chick here. You have that there. They need to have this drug here. They need to have that drink there, right? And they have to have it laid out and shit. You know what I mean? See it all the time. You know what I mean? Because people don't really look at themselves as like creators and that this can actually be drawn up out of them at will. They just need to find the essence, the vibe that they have, and then lock in and focus. This is why what's always important is to do activities that also demand focus so you can learn focus for other things that you want to do. For example, you're as men, as true and living gods, absolutely. We always got to be working out, but not that weak workout. This is not, I just want to stay trim. You work out to get your body as tough, hard, strong, unbreakable, as destructive as it could be. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're not. What are we here for? So we live in this era. We live in this day and time with the devil civilization. It's supposed to be crumbling, but you want to work out just so you can look cute in the shirt. Now you better be able to take some punches and stuff like that. You better do your workouts till failure. I did 10 push-ups. That's good, right? That's bitch shit. You do them all the way because you push yourself to see how far you could go because it develops the focus and the discipline. You see? and you make your own reality the barometer by which you judge yourself. There's always judgment. Always judgment. Let it be you. Man, I was able to do 100 in a row yesterday. And I only could do 80. You know? Give yourself the demerit. Look at yourself and say, well, what did I eat? This and that. You know what I'm saying? All that kind of stuff. Right?
Making those observations.
Yeah, looking at yourself sincerely. Because the easiest way for us to develop focus is to get in shape, an intense shape, useful shape. You know what I mean? You ain't got time for all that other cute shit. You know what I mean? Guys are bodybuilding and stuff, and that's good. You know, you get the body, you'll get the body sculpted. You know what I'm saying? But you got to learn some type of fighting art. You got to do these reps, some of these reps to failure, something. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to lift heavy weights that will break your whole body and slam you and have you, you know, in a damn TikTok video. You know what I'm saying? Right? So, you know, they'll slam your barbell down you and crunch your back and shit. But challenge yourself. You know what I mean? Challenge yourself. You go read books and stuff, challenge yourself. Say, look, I'm going to read. I don't care how shitty I do. I'm going to read for a whole hour straight, see what happens. Some people don't do that. They don't do that. Or this book has 50 pages left. Today is Sunday. I ain't doing shit. I'm going to finish this whole joint right here. I don't care. Your eyes are all red. They're all like, yeah, I ain't never read this much. You know what I'm saying? Like, whew, it's tough, man. But you'll be surprised when you get used to the finish line. When you get used to the finish line and start to see how you race those last couple of pages. You know what I mean? When you get used to the idea of achieving a goal. You know what I mean? I'm doing these reps. I get them all in. You know what I'm saying? I judge that this is the intense workout for me. I'm going to keep doing it consistently. You know what I mean? And it's the days that you can't do something, that you don't want to do something, that it is better that you do it lousy than not do it at all. I'm not talking about like when you're injured or you have a severe headache so you can't read. I'm talking about when your feelings are in the way, when you just don't feel good. When you feel like, yo, we do this all day. You know, a lot of this stuff could depress you. You know what I'm saying? Being trapped, the COVID shit, the you know, fucking brothers is always broke, right? We never have enough money. You know what I'm saying? You never have enough money. You never have enough money to do everything, right? If you got kids, though, you never have enough to get everything for them, right? But you keep on. That day you work out like that, that's the day that statistics might be weak on that day. But the ease that makes the day that you have great energy, you set up your greatest workout. You know what I'm saying? Set up your greatest workout. I write in my journal every week, right? Every week I write 25 pages in my journal a week.
I said I was going to try to get, I started out as the first, so I was like,
No, it takes some time though.
Yeah.
You'll be like, damn, this shit got a lot of lines though. Shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When you write and you're like, damn, this shit got like 20 lines and shit, you know? Right? It's got like 25, 27 lines. I got to write the whole thing.
More lines?
You know, in the book.
Lines or page?
No, lines in the page. Lines, yeah. You know?
It's good, but we need the discipline, right?
Yeah. It's 25 pages a week, though. I end up writing a whole journal, 200-page journal in less than 2 months. That's every time. Sometimes those pages fly. Sometimes it's Sunday fucking night. And I'm writing and I'm like not able to get through, you know, tired as hell. And I'm like, damn, man, what the hell I got else to say? You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? And I just keep writing. I pull out books I've read and I start writing about them, trying to get this shit done. You know what I mean? And then people wonder, Sunez, how do you write all these things? How do you make these books? How do you do it? Because it's shit like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm striving for, to be able to stretch the ability to learn new thoughts.
Develop your focus by turning everything that you intend to do or want to do into by focusing on the preparation for everything that you want to do. The preparation for the completion of every great thing is the practice. When you do those to extremes, though, everything else comes into play. You have the discipline, you know? Even when you don't want to. You'll start doing things because you should, right? Let me read some of these. I've been ranting here for a while. I didn't read any of these. Yeah, that whole shit. Yeah, Embiid though. Yeah, that definitely don't do like Joel Embiid though. You know, great talent though, but he has all the vibe of a damn slacker. You know what I'm saying? Seriously, like I feel like Back to the Future though. Like you're a slacker. You're a slacker. You know what I mean? He don't win shit, and he don't deserve shit either, right? He don't win, and you're like, he don't deserve it either. You don't feel bad.
No,
You don't feel bad.
he's a bit of a crybaby too.
I tell you, if you want to study one athlete as far as discipline and focus, you can study Jordan. You know, there's great things written about Jordan, but he's so talented that it's hard to get that idea. Probably the best then to study is Kobe,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
because he was so able to get close to Jordan. And how do you do that? And he was so articulate in describing the nature by which you do this, you know? His books, Mamba Mentality, those are, essential. I'll give you guys want that book, I'll email it to you, you know what I mean? It's a great book, Mamba Mentality, you know what I mean? I think Roland Lazenby wrote a great autobiography of him, Showboat. But, hearing it directly from Kobe Bryant, it's also a shorter book. So you get those jewels really quick, you know what I mean? Indeed. The thing is, right, when you create, right, you talk about like it's too quiet and things like that, right? And people need to hear things, right? Siren lullabies, like Jamie Jam said, right? When you create, right, you got to remember that you're creating something. So the first way to create something to help you create is to also recreate the cipher, right? A lot of times when people smoke and drink, they're trying to like get themselves physically into a state, but they also try to get the room into a state. Get it smoky, get into a vibe that you expect music to come about. When you create, think about how you're going to control the cipher. You control the air and you control the noise. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times if you find the right music though, and you find the right, I don't know, incense, scent up your room, you know what I mean? Don't let anything invade the room, and you can control those variables. There's a lot more power in what you can do. You know what I mean? Get the tools that feel comfortable. Sounds corny, but sometimes it's important to have the pen that you like, like if you're writing, that right pen, right? A lot of people prefer a lot of pens. I'm more of a simple pen,
I like the gel pen.
Yeah. When I write fast though, gel pens leak through everything, because I write hard and fast. So I like a simple pen, but I needed to write fluid. So I always go with the Bic, but a regular Bic pen, but I'm using the bold tip, the 1.6 millimeter. So it's very fat, so it blots out, throws it all out there. Throw me that ink though. Don't, and as soon as that ink is not flowing, I chuck it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like I want the inks so quick
Yeah, yeah. That's a good thing, though. You know? But you can't have a continued discipline if the challenges you give yourself are pretty weak, you know? Like if you give yourself weak challenges, you know, that aren't really that impressive, you know? Peace to the God.
Yeah, meet some resistance, like you said.
You know?
You can't
Yeah,
be relaxed and comfortable all the time. You're not going to grow or develop.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? And you should keep it in your mind, though, if you didn't come close to even starting your goals and be like, you know, today I didn't do shit. I didn't do shit on that. I need to do better with that. You know what I mean? All of that.
You know, I catch myself having days like that. Like, yo,
And then, you know, yeah, and the time is scarce. Like, I don't get to see my daughters all the time, right? So the week is very motivating for me because I don't want anything undone to take over my mind or my time when I see them.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm always working hard. You know what I mean? Always working at full throttle all the time. You know what I mean?
That's another good point about getting things done, because it's like if you don't, you have so much other stuff on your mind that you lose focus
Yeah.
on the things you're trying to do at hand. You know, that's a big part of that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So knowledge is how do we set that starting point? Right? See if I have that. By the way, nobody asked or tried to answer. October 1st was the day where the great grandmaster Itman was born.
Itman.
Yeah.
October 1st.
Yeah. Tomorrow's an important day too. Probably more important. More important person.
The Bible.
Say again, brother?
The Bible.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Yeah, October 2nd birthday. Tomorrow. Well, at least for me. My youngest daughter was born. So tomorrow's her birthday. Yeah. Born on the same day as Gandhi. Yeah. Right? And here's the interesting thing, though, right? October 2nd also was the birth date of Nat Turner. So I always think like it's an ideal date for my daughter to be born, you know? You know what I mean? So she give him peace or she give him hell. You know what I mean? She gonna give him probably a little bit of both. All right, all right. Thanks, Jammy Jam. Yeah. She gonna be God years old, just 7. You know. She definitely got a little bit of Gandhi and a little bit of Nat Turner in her. You know. Indeed, appreciate that 793. You know. So we set that foundation right. Set that foundation right. You know. Take out these insights that we learn about supreme math and take them out of the cliche. You know what I mean? Take them out the cliche. The standard way of doing things. That's why I say what instead of saying knowledge is foundation, is the original idea. in quantum mechanics, they say there is the energy wave and the matter, the particle of matter. It's the two things. It's either an energy wave or particle of matter, and they say it's undecided. So they actually, they'll call them wavicles. They're neither wave nor particle. And it is in this stage of being smaller than the atom, measured by the Planck scale, named after Max Planck, that everything is decided. And so you have the observer, the observation, and the observed. The observer, the observation itself, and the observed. Right? And they find in quantum mechanics that it goes against classical physics, the typical physics. I throw a ball at G1 here, and it goes to him if I use the same thing. But the observer affects the experiment. So if you alter the experiment a little bit, and maybe I block this, I block G1 with a board, with this blackboard or whiteboard, that ball would go around the board like a Bugs Bunny cartoon and get to him. This is the magic of quantum mechanics. And the reason is because it's neither particles of matter or a complete energy wave. So what's really going through isn't matter. It is when it gets there that it becomes. It is when it is noticed that it becomes. And this is one of the truths of the origins of things. And what affects it most, though, when these experiments are actually done is the observer, the mind. Because what people don't realize is that observer, that scientist in that particular cipher is the most dominant mind that is watching this select experiment. So what they have gotten used to is what will continue. It's an amazing thing. This is what's called a double slit experiment in quantum mechanics. So then the original idea is knowledge. What is your unique idea that will change everything that you will do? Right? There are ideas that are not completely our own. There are things that we activate that are not completely our own. Right? Get these glasses on. But what about the idea that's all yours? Right? All yours. Right? That original idea. Foundation. Knowledge. What precise model of knowledge, what blueprint will you start the month with that'll continue on? The best time to start that is now. That's why I have that long assignment, that project assignment, right? It was based on this, reaching the first of every month and saying that, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so who's still in here? I said everybody would be wrong, so nobody's giving me their understanding of knowledge. Do you realize that knowledge is a degree? So it's your decision when knowledge is too. When does knowledge start? When do you decide? Each degree, when we build with it separately, is always your starting point. Nothing gets created by going, oh, we just dealt with the culture and, Even when you go from knowledge to born, it doesn't go, we did the knowledge part, let's do the wisdom part, right? Nothing is created like that. Nobody's robotically looking at that, right?
Yeah.
Right? I just did the power part. You know what I mean? Like, right? Peace, God.
Actually, the charger, the white plug.
Oh, the phone too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The bag right there with the bread.
Peace, God. Little cameo by Dark Kim. He be MCing on the low. Quiet as kept. A little bit. Right? Let's see here.
But what is the conference?
The what?
The
The class online? YouTube. You have YouTube?
yeah,
Okay.
1.5.
Go to my page, which is Sunez 7, right? And then you'll find it. You write Sunez 7, you'll find it.
This one.
There you go, there you go, there you go. Yeah. And you click that, yeah.
On the filter, right?
Hmm?
All the.
Right, yeah. If you click on it, you'll see us. Yeah. You'll see me right now. Yeah. Since we were talking about foundation, let me quickly talk about. I just want to talk about a book. I always like to talk about a book. If you don't have it, you know, if you don't have it, you want it. Don't have to buy it. I have it. Stone Legacy, right? By George James, right? You know, let's see, I should have this in here. Why is it in here? I had some other things written in here. I'm gonna have to refresh this. Some of my notes are not appearing.
That's one of my favorite books too. My sister stole
George-
a copy.
Yeah, yeah. Don't worry, it's digital now. You can get you that ebook. A nice EPUB, not like some shoddy PDF. Come on.
Yeah, those are hard to find. Like,
Hmm.
So G, and then flow.
All right, my brother.
Peace.
peace.
Peace,
Thank you,
peace.
bro.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. All right. I had some notes in here. I don't know why it's not showing up. I think I know why, but it doesn't really matter. You know, what's interesting? Oh, that's good, Jammy Jam. Yeah. I didn't see Wesley Muhammad's presentation on the making of the white race. How can I put this though? I'm not really running to watch any of the things that he does, you know, because I don't have time to listen to someone that talks in over inflection for religious purpose. You know, it's fucking annoying. That shit is annoying. Like, people get this, you know, religious kick out of shit, and not every sentence they say is, you know, it's like it's ordained by the Almighty. Like the mystery God is pounding the shit in from the cosmos, right? And I can't say it in any other way but say it. You know, it's over inflection. It's like you know, him and Wakil, they know the shit out of me when they talk. You know, one thing, you know, don't listen to people that over inflect though. They're doing religious shit on you. And Wakil does the other flow. You know, the smiling flow. Nick, we're talking about serious shit though. Why are you smiling every damn sentence? You know?
Yeah.
Don't smile every, you know? We're talking about oppression of the black man. Why are you smiling? Like, you know, don't do Farrakhan. Don't do budget Farrakhan on me, you know. Right? We got YouTube for that, right? We got YouTube for them. But no, yeah, I'm being, again, you know, so Knowledge Day. I want to prepare you to not waste your time. Pain in the ass, but yeah. You know how much filtering you gotta do? You know, we try to learn stuff. We say, I'm gonna learn stuff from him. But he's really a religious zealot though, but he says a couple of things that are real. I'm gonna learn something from him though, but he deals with this, and I don't know, you know, man, it gets tiresome though. The going back and forth and all that kind of shit, you know. Okay, let me see. Still have to reading digital copies though. You know, if you have trouble using the phone and stuff, sometimes it can be distraction because you get distracted every minute. Another thing could be the lighting that you use on the phone. Sometimes turn on your blue light filter if your phone has it. Also, when you read books, you should always be adjusting the brightness to as low as possible where you could comfortably read it. And acknowledge that every time it's different, every single time. And then also experiment though with the, especially with the Nook and Google Books. They give you the opportunity to use amber light, like, even amplify that blue light. They also give you, you could read it in black pages or you could read it. I never read in a white page when I have the chance. I always read it in, kind of like the brown pages, those. It's always warmer on the eye, all that reflection. And I always have it as dark as possible where it's not uncomfortable. Because if you're straining your eyes to read it, then that's bad too. But that's having your blue light filter on, that might help you more. You know what I'm saying? Because the benefits of using the digital, you have a dictionary that's embedded into it. So you don't have to be confused about stuff as you're reading. Even if the dictionary, even sometimes it doesn't have every word, but you can still highlight it and go back. You know what I mean? You have notes, so actual questions of confusion or commentaries, you can put it right in there and not get lost. You don't have to like dog ear page or just scribble inside the book, which doesn't give you that much room, right? And it might not be yours, or like if you're like me, I don't really like messing up my books. I don't write in my books. You know what I mean? My physical books, I never got in the habit of writing because I knew if I did, I'd be writing all over them. If I started doing that, I knew that they would all look like shit by the end. So they'd be useless to none of my children, it would be annoying. Yeah, I read my dad's books, but he has those annoying shit in it, like just disregard the shit that my dad wrote. And, I didn't want that. But, brown pages, yeah. But no, you make the background brown and stuff. It's much easier. And so always be adjusting. Like when I read, like when I'm going to sleep and I read and the light is off and I'm about to go to sleep and I want to read in the dark, you put that black one and it's just easier on the eye. You know what I mean? But so all of these things, when you read a digital book, you got to practice adjusting the light, the font, all of these things, all of these things. They're there for a reason though. Like they're not just there for show. They're actually useful in getting you to, read it a little bit easier, But yeah, I don't. Again, when I don't spend much time reading lectures and stuff like watching lectures and stuff like that of people that I know are charlatans. So they're gonna have some information, but I'd rather get like real books and real scholarly, peer reviewed, something with real reference literature. And that doesn't mean that some of the Wesley Muhammad books are not useful to read or anything like that. You know what I mean? But every one of his books, though, is filled with a lot of coincidental inferences, I should say. Like he's a religious scholar at best. If he's a religious scholar at best, and that means that he's really working to prove his religion. So that means that there's always going to be something that he's actually misproving, because he's a religious scholar and he's trying to prove the religion of Islam. You know what I'm saying? Not just that the religion of Islam has existed in this reality. No. He is trying to prove that the religion of Islam existed, how it existed, and then also how it must exist. So a lot of times when he goes back into the past to prove how it existed, he also alters it to say it existed in a way that leads up to the way it's true today, meaning the mystery that we deal with today. I'm talking about him, right? So that's why he'll alter stuff and alter a lot of old ancient history to say certain white painted Indian, dervish that was actually Fard. Like his books always have some stupid shit like that in there. You know what I mean? Some off the wall shit. And then when you have a religious scholar that's trying to prove their religion in a continuum, meaning the trick knowledge that they deal with today, that they want you to actually mix in with the truth they're dealing with, then alter the history that they find true to give it a continuity to today. What often happens is that they use coincidence in an abnormal way. Okay. So like in the Book of God, that's a big book of his, right? It's very big. So I talk all this shit though, but I read the whole thing. So I don't want to see a video where he says my name all slow. That person, Sunez. I don't hear that shit. He uses coincidence, right? Of the continued citing of the number 7 to prove that it means God. That doesn't prove shit. You know what I'm saying? It really doesn't prove anything. Just like when we go back in history and say, 7 has always meant a supreme number. True, right? It always meant number of divinity and things like that, blah, 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 blah. That doesn't prove that 7 is God. What proves 7 is God is because it has a perfect order when we go how things should be. It's not magic. These numbers aren't magic. Supreme math is not a spell. You know what I'm saying? Today's mathematics is knowledge. My class of peers. It's not a magic spell. People be dealing with mathematics like it's a spell. And on the day of wisdom power, all being born to God, and ye shall, the gods were born on this day of October 7th, 1964, 4. And you shall be the firstborn Black Messiah, firstborn Prince, boom, superheroes, and they all, this is how they, talk, and we end up talking like that. And if I didn't have this knowledge given the right way, there are a lot of parliaments I'd be like, this sounds nuts, and it's so corny. You're acting like it's some, Justice League shit. You know? But be careful of using coincidence to prove the truth. Coincidence leads a scholar to continue to see if that body of relevant information connects and proves something, right? So the presence of 7 as a divine number is not a proof, but a reason to go study. Another coincidence, the fact that we keep proving aspects of 120 lessons true means that other degrees that aren't really like proven completely true, or what people think is not true, they deserve the merit to continue to study in there. You know what I mean? Elijah Muhammad himself has merited the research of a scholar because everything he said that people thought was outlandish ended up being true. You know what I mean? Nearly everything. Like the moon got blown away. That should sound crazy. Then you watch documentaries now, they go, the moon, apparently the only way the moon could have actually been there is that some type of explosive must have ejected it off. There's documentaries now. Hell, it was crazy when he said it, that the original man is the father, started civilization, the birthplace is the original man. That wasn't accepted. Black man is the original man, the first man, right? 1793, you wrote crack, boom, lightning, flames, flying. You might be careful. You might create something there too. Have something pop up in your bathroom and shit, right? Yeah, but indeed, Black Power fit, absolutely. The thing is, though, is I want you to remember that the more that we utter cliches, even if they're true, the more that we could be susceptible to turning what are the things that we prove to be true into tomorrow's spells. We know that knowledge is a foundation because we studied certain things, but if we continue to just accept it and then we go, tomorrow we say, well, I did the research, so knowledge is foundation. You know what I'm saying? What happens is that now we end up sharing that like it's a spell because we don't really have any new information. We're not challenging ourselves to go check it. You know what I mean? It literally is almost the same to me, even though most people don't equate it this way, as saying like, I did my workout today. I don't need to exercise anymore. You know what I'm saying? To show and prove this knowledge itself, and why mathematics is repeated again and again and again, right? We keep going through the knowledge day, the wisdom day, right? Again and again, is because it's kind of like exercise. We have to constantly prove it, or else it will not be true. Because we are inside the creation that we are creating. And for it to be so, we have to constantly keep creating, or else it will not be so. You see? In fact, this is one of the things that blew the scientist Robert Lanza's mind away when he realized this, and why he wrote, and he called it biocentrism. He wrote biocentrism, and he called it that. The white man reinventing the wheel, basically saying that because we are here and observing all this, we are the ones that are creating all this. He actually wrote a book trying to scientifically deal with that, calling it biocentrism. It really sounds crazy because he's like, wow, the white man was writing like he made that up. You know what I mean? But he actually did. And it's actually useful because he tries to go from it from a Western scientific method viewpoint. So it is useful to read. It's very insightful. You know what I mean? Even though his follow-up book, he had to like acknowledge that, like, damn, they a lot of people came up with this shit before me. but his way was basically saying they were all from the East, Indians, and Chinese and stuff, and the ancient text, and they didn't do it like the way I did it. That's basically the second book. You know what I mean? But both very useful. To put those in. Kind of like not as useful, but useful like the way As a Man Thinketh is a simpler telling of the Dhammapada. You know what I mean? And why I give it to you in the beginning. You know what I mean? All right. The only spellbound that you should be dealing with, though, is case solo, right? Case Solo. Remember Case Solo? Spellbound. Right? Man, you think about it though, that shit was hard. Like he was hardcore, but it's really hard to rhyme that way and be spelling like every last word.
Yeah.
Right? That shit is really easy. I never could recite his rhymes, like, you know. And then I would listen to his rhymes, like, what the hell did he just say? You go back and you have to like, okay, like it's like playing Hangman, trying to like figure out what the hell he just said. Then it'd just be some basic shit he just said, like, you know, like he spelled his name or something. This shit is crazy. Fucking Case Solo. But yeah, one thing about Stolen Legacy, right, is that it is a great book on the Knowledge Day because it really is a foundation, because he says stolen Greek philosophy is really stolen Egyptian philosophy. And that's a very powerful statement because it's two things. It isn't just saying that Greek philosophy is really Egyptian philosophy, but also saying that they stole it. So that means that it wasn't given to them and that they disingenuously took it. And it's half and half. It's in the beginning, that's all they knew. So they can't use anything else. You know what I'm saying? Right? But then later later eras, as the Greek, as Greek societies aged with it, then they started to write it as if it was theirs, led by that super devil, Aristotle. Hall of Fame devil. Hall of Fame devil. You know, he's got his own bust in the Devil Hall of Fame, though. You know what I mean? Right? That's what, people like Trump and all them want to go, But when Aristotle put it into Alexander's head, Alexander is not great. When he put it into Alexander's head to conquer everything and conquer Egypt and rename it, Alexandria, right? The libraries of Alexandria is literally like if we went to Harlem and renamed it Hamilton Heights, right? Same shit. All those books, though, started to get authorship by Aristotle. So he became a person that wrote like 500 books, though. Man, he didn't write none of that shit. They were translating as best they could, trying to figure it out. They didn't figure out everything. They interpreted a lot of stuff crazy. And what's interesting is that after the, Christians destroy the Library of Alexandria later, dynasties later, the Moors themselves, since I mentioned the Moors earlier, the Moors build a unique society and civilization which has unique architecture, different from what you see and what is known of ancient Kemet, based off what they extracted out of the Greek text, which are plagiarizations of the Kemet text. That's something, again, Golden Age of the Moor, such a vital book, man. I wish that book was digital, just to keep it right in all forms. You know what I mean? That's an incredible book. But the major aspect of that, right, is that when you look at Stolen Legacy, the first thing you got to infer is that they would just he's focusing just on philosophy. But you couldn't just steal like their philosophy. You would never, it really means that they stole everything, because philosophy is the ideas, the ways of living concepts, right? And the ideologies of how man ought to live. They would have never copied the philosophies of another people's if they didn't appreciate the results of those lived philosophies. So it's basically like the origin piece of why they would steal everything from the original peoples. Because the original peoples had that philosophy. If we could get to their philosophy, then maybe we could build like they do. You see what I'm saying? Because it's not just the way that they learn things, but it's their mentalities and how they arrive at situations. That's why if you study Greek literature and you study their philosophers, this is why they get lost in philosophy and the concepts of over philosophizing. They used to have ciphers where they just philosophize. I forgot the theme of it though. And they wouldn't let women in there because they did originate some things like the homoness, and that's where you could really first trace it, like as an actual lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? And really based on a disregard for women, though. You know what I mean? They're totally functional. You know what I mean? And Aristotle, I forget where I found that quote, but Aristotle said, I could never understand the love that man has between a man and a woman. Talk about get the homo stamp and just bomb, right there. Like, whoa, that is nuts right there. I was like, yo, you are mega, like you're ancient homo. Like he's the ancient homo. Like, seriously, like, you don't even get it. Like that's how, like that's how we came about. Like, but and you can't understand it. It's crazy. It's a homo of a great stature. I told you he's a Hall of Fame devil. But because even all people of all persuasions of gender, I don't give a fuck what they say. They gotta appreciate the truth. It's not even truth though, it's the truth, hip hop truth, right? With the F, truth. But the thing about it though is that this becomes a foundation. There's always conspiracy about George James' death because I don't think he was that young, but the book was published in 1954. He dies 1956. Very mysteriously, nobody really knows. He also was a Freemason and stuff, so this probably was stuff that he shouldn't have released. Also, the way that he laid out the book, though, like in outline form, if you read the book, though, it is a horrible read. It's all bracketed, like it looks like a dissertation outline. It's bracketed like bullet points, and Roman numeral 3. I'm just reading off this page here. The later iconic philosophers given credit of the following doctrines: 1, and then Heraclitus, A, that the world was produced by fire, process of transmutation, and B, since all, then 2, and he did everything in list and sublist and subsections. It really reads like these 150 pages, they actually really tell more to like, basically, they probably were the thesis that was supposed to be extended into volumes. You know what I mean? Especially the way it's written out, because a lot of thesis statements that are really, really long are actually papers that lead to a lot of other things. And they would be written like that. So who knows? Like maybe, and how was it published? Like, was it some gangster shit? Like he just got it out there because he wasn't going to survive. It's also interesting too that Chancellor Williams, who wrote Destruction of Black Civilization, right? Another major work, the timeline in the subtitle, right, is 4,500 BCE, before Common Era, right, to 2000 CE, Common Era, right? And I think the original book says AD, right? They use BC AD, right? That's 6,500 years. So he said, Chancellor Williams' title of the book is Destruction of Black Civilization. These 6,500 years. He literally gave the entire same timeline that we give. And he had no idea what the hell we were talking about. He doesn't know anything about this. You know what I mean? And his book was supposed to be like more volumes. And he went blind. And so he rushed to finish Destruction of Black Civilization. Very, very, very interesting. Like if you have your conspiracy theories, though, get your popcorn because we'll be here forever. You know what I mean? But it certainly fits that way with Stone Legacy. But as a student, I remember that Stone Legacy, to understand how the philosophy is taken, you have to understand the mentality, because one thing about studying our ancient past, and I mean ancient, before, BWP, before white people. You know what I mean? BW, before white people, right? Just keep it BW. As a student in this world, studying the world before white people is, you have to always remind yourself how awkward that is, and that the world is totally different. The conflicts, the situations, everything. And you're looking for the roots of separation that causes the white man to be made. But a lot of people that study, not with or without the knowledge of self as we have it, they fall into the thing of that they're studying utopia. You know what I mean? And that's why they study ancient Kemet and all these ancient societies and civilizations of our people sloppy, because they study it like it's utopia. Back when Egypt was, and there's only one article of clothing they wore thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. You know what I mean? And for centuries, they only wore kente cloth. You know what I mean? So, and they recreate this utopia. It's not just the utopia, it's the other things that go into it. And the root of it is philosophy. So when we say that they stole the philosophy, understand that that means that this is the origin point. The reason that when people take when people take from us, they weren't taking from us because they can. They weren't doing that. Slavery, all that kind of stuff, they weren't taking from us because they're like, we're strong and we're just going to take from the weak. If that was the case, though, they would be dead and we would be taking. And we're like, yo, we took everything. We don't really need that, but I'm going to take that anyway. Let's take those. I don't even know what white people have by themselves, but let's take that, right? The truth is that they studied and they saw everything that it ought to be and said, how can we go get that? Well, first, let us study the mentality that allows them to even make that stuff. And see, it's there that they start to realize society by society, Greek into Roman, into, what we have today in the European societies, they realize ever more that they cannot recreate that. In other words, the oldest philosophy that they could find of us building our earliest civilizations, because they can't go farther, is based on a philosophy that they actually have not been able to adhere to. And one thing to remember is that the early Greeks did try to adhere to that, and Socrates is infamous for that. He was willing to die, and he died for the principles, right? So that's what's intriguing about all this, They didn't work to conquer because out of pure hatred. They felt they had to conquer because it was the only way to survive. You see? And that's why, when we deal with white supremacy and we think of all these kind of things, you can't just be thinking they hate us, though I'm just gonna go hate. Don't waste your time with all that. Don't waste your time with all that, because in a macro level, the European needs to continuously take from us. That doesn't mean that so you're saying it's okay for them to continually take from us. No, that's exactly not what I'm saying. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, it is not a fire and fire proposition. In other words, fight fire with fire proposition. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing really, no matter how many riches he has or how many he's taken from us, what he's developed based on the riches of us, our labor mentally and physically, he doesn't have anything that we couldn't make if left on our own. And the examples are boundless throughout history. Quick example, Reconstruction period, America. I'll give you a very early, recent example, right, of this in an enormous way. Reconstruction period, slavery's over. They're trying to recreate the societies to have black people in there, not be slaves, but be submissive and lesser, right? This isn't easy to create. How do you have a society that needs to bloodsuck, has them as citizens, right? This is all new shit, So give don't. America sometimes impresses me. You know what I'm saying? How do we bloodsuck people and in different ways and have the shit keep running? You gotta be, you gotta give them some credit though. Like, how do you keep doing this shit? You know what I mean? Right? It's like a giant mosquito. It's Mosquito Nation, right? Mosquito Nation. You know what I mean? And the thing is, right? When they do all this, right? And they set up these societies in Reconstruction period, right? The whites that really knew and really run things, they knew that the black mind had to be mined. And thus black colleges are founded. A lot of black politicians, right, are named or are elected, right? A lot of stuff changes, right? They mine the black mind. They go in, they use them. White man that knows, he uses them. He's like, you got a funneless mind. But in that Reconstruction period, right, you would think that the black people, the black people, I said like, the black people. I'm trying to say the black people at that time. Those black people at that time, I gotta be careful because then I get a troll on YouTube and say, yeah, Sunez is not even black though. He's talking about us like that. You know what I mean? He's fucking spick. But during that time, right, what's intriguing, I always find, is the statistics that Amos Wilson brings out. I forget which book. I think it's Awakening Genius of Black Children. Again, another author that is not available digital. His books are hard to find. One of the great black sociologists, and thinkers. Wrote Blueprint for Black Power, a lot of books. But my favorite books are the books Black Psychology, the Psychology of the Black Child, and Awakening the Genius of Black Children. He has other books like Falsification of African Consciousness, which is good, but I love his books about children because they're unique and they're incredible. And what Amos Wilson points out during the Reconstruction period is that even though blacks were behind in literacy, by the end of Reconstruction into the 1920s and stuff, right? We talk about miseducation of the Negro and all that, but the rate by which they became literate was at a rate faster than any group of whites that they could find. We could recreate things so easily. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because we're the creators of all this. All we have to do is create it and manifest it. And there's the foundation of it all. This knowledge is based on the mentality by which you engage into the action. The mentality by which you say what will be, what must be, and what ought to be, and what if. Once you realize that. So when you say what if, that's the question of creation. What if? But there's also a foundational line, like what ought to be, what we will not allow to be, and what is the nature by which everything we do will be done. And see, that's one thing about the amazing thing that's been studied about ancient Kemetic philosophy is that they had standards. They had standards that showed how limitless they were in thought, but they also had standards by what they would not do. And that's why Serpent in the Sky, John Anthony West's book that explains a lot of the works that R.A. Schwaller de Lubitz wrote about, which is very difficult to read, and talking about the ancient Egyptian philosophy that they could have built many of the things that we saw today, but they chose not to because it would be destructive. So the main thing to realize is that civilization's development is not linear, it is circular. And if you haven't gone back into a proper source, you won't get a future source that is greater. So it's not guaranteed that we're older or in the future, so we have greater things than in the past. That's the only reason you can say Western civilization is the peak, because it's the one that's right now. But the more you study, the more you realize that's not true. And that's why shit like ancient aliens and stuff, where they try to attribute our shit to ancient aliens, those are ways to keep it linear. So anything that was above what's today, where you say, now it's just fucking aliens came and just threw it down. Because that's what aliens do. They come by, they toss some shit that is immaculate, and then you just bounce. They never come back, you know what I mean? Man, if that was true, they would have came back and said, y'all used all of this shit, messed up. I'm destroying this whole thing right now. And just straight lift the pyramid out and say, we're taking all of this shit back. You know what I mean? You did that to the Sphinx? You did that to the Sphinx? Like, they wouldn't, right? It doesn't make any sense, right?
That makes no sense.
You blew the nose off of my shit? That's my uncle you just blew off. Like, how you do that? You know what I mean? He's like 3 billion years old, though. Disrespectful ass humans, you know? It doesn't make any sense to me. You know? But, I haven't looked at the comments because I'm looking at the Stone Legacy book. You know what I mean? Also, too, absolutely supreme scientist. Yeah. You know, the one of the interesting things about Stone Legacy also is that it shows you that Musa was the title of the civilizer, that it is actually the name of a teacher. So it's not just that one Moses that parted the Red Sea shit, right?
Yeah,
Can we see
I
here?
answered that question in the email. You did send me that.
Right. The quote here is, there's a lot, they've reprinted this book a lot, so it might not be exactly on the page that I'm at, like reference to the one that you have. The ebook doesn't always match up to the pages on the physical book, unfortunately. I think, let me see what chapter this is. Let me see if I can get the chapter. This would, well, yeah. Jeez. He didn't really break up the chapters too well, but it's in part, obviously the part 1, which is the bulk of the book. But he says on page 56 that I have, 55, 56, we are told not only by the Bible, but also by the historian Philo that Moses was an initiate of the Egyptian mysteries and became a hierogrammet, learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptian people. This was only possible by proper initiation and gradual advancement. When evidence of fitness was demonstrated by the neophyte, the Egyptian name of Moses was given to all candidates at their baptism and meant saved by water. So once they became learned and were able to teach, they are saved by water. And of course, Musa just is the Arabic translation of the word Moses. So when we talk about Musa and stuff, it's a title, you know, and that's why the older gods always tell us that means great civilizer, God. What do you mean you don't know that shit? You know, that's what that means. You know? Oh my goodness. Okay, let me see. All right. So any question, you know, Stone Legacy again, let me throw these things out there. You can email me if you don't have the book and you want the book. No problem. You know what I'm saying? And again, like adjust those markers, you know what I mean? You know, adjust the fonts, the page coloring. You could, the size of the font, you know, you could do all that. When you read books digitally, though, you should always be adjusting. I never have one like, I always use the same font because I like the Merriweather font, but pretty much everything else gets adjusted. Absolutely always lighting. When you use your phone, to me, you should always have that blue light, you know what I mean? Filter. And I always have it all the way up to the top, but you should always be adjusting the brightness on your phone continuously. Like it shouldn't be always at like, you know, Jesus Christ light. Like it looks like you open like a, you know, it shouldn't always be like that. Yeah, like you just open like, you know, Was it Raiders of the Lost Ark when they opened the Ark of the Covenant? You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't be like that. You know? Because a lot of times you'll be like, when you use the laptop a lot, when you use your phone a lot, you're like, why does this day suck? You know, I finally did what I did and now I have a headache. You know, a lot of those things for you know, reasons because of the society, like using these computers all day, not, you know, adjusting their brightness and lowering them when we can. Look, when I have mine, it's really only like 2 levels up, you know, and even the laptops have a blue light. So what you do is you look for, in my laptop, I just write night light when I search for it. You know what I mean? And I could adjust the level of and I could block a lot of that stuff that's negative. It helps your eyes because I'm a writer. I'm writing all the time. It would just give me a headache all the time. You know what I mean? Only when I'm watching something though, because I don't want white people looking like me. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta take off that amber. You know what I'm saying? Then everybody look original. You know what I mean? And it don't make sense. You know, but really, yeah, you could always, you know, adjust. And that's what's so useful about it, though, you know. And then you got all that access to tools that are in there, so can't let that go. You know what? Did you DM me that or you emailed me that, Supreme Scientist? Because I saw that email and I was in a rush and I totally forgot about it. So I didn't even get to try. Life sucks. Let's see. Yeah, let me know. Did you DM me that or in the Instagram or was it to my email? IG, okay. I didn't though. I didn't. Let's see. Okay. Should sound crazy though, fighting forward, man. It's a movie starring Wesley Muhammad. Oh, yo. Starring Wesley Muhammad. He ever makes a movie though, you gotta watch that shit at like double time speed. You'll never finish. Because he and is fucking ridiculous though. You know, the reason I get real mean with the humor is because I've seen him speak, I've seen him build, I've seen the shit that he says that's totally bullshit. And one of the things I hate with the religious overtones is that when people try to teach others, but to me, I find it condescending. You know, like you're teaching us minions because you've been ordained by someone else who's been touched by God. So it's like the mystery God. Farrakhan's touching the mystery. No, let's do it right. Fard is doing. Somebody's touching Elijah. Elijah's touching Farrakhan. It's like follow the leader shit, and then everybody's touched or ordained, and then he's touched. You know, it's freaking corny, and it makes people listen to you because you can never get to the source of that information. Only he could. You see what I'm saying? Only he could, because he's the only one that's been ordained and stuff. You know what I mean? He's been given the all spark. You know, the shit fell out of Optimus Prime though, and he put it into his belly. You know what I'm saying? You know, and shit fell out of it fell out of Farrakhan, and just like the Transformers movie, Wesley Muhammad dove and he caught the Allspark. You know what I mean? Then he gave it to somebody else, but he's really the one. It's really it gets corny. It gets corny. I want you to learn from me. I'm here this long, yeah, but I don't want you to be impaired from learning when I'm not around, because then that means I suck as a teacher. If you're a bad teacher to yourself, then that means I'm definitely not useful to you. So if you can't say, listen, I learned all of these other things and found all this information, Supreme Scientist wrote Muslim Molestation Factory. The MMF, right? That's crazy. Universal, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it's beat me up stuff. And if Elijah Muhammad was here, he'd be like, half of this stuff, he'd be like, no, that ain't what it is. He'd be like, y'all waiting for me? If he actually was, be like, y'all waiting for me to come back? Some funny stuff. It is. It's very laughable. But yeah, I just got that dramatic screenplay, Finding Fard. Oh no, I thought it was written by Wesley Muhammad. Okay. If it was written by Wesley Muhammad, it'd be a dramatic screenplay, Where at the end, you don't see him find Fard, but he's at the horizon, and he's at a horizon on some mountaintop, and and then the credits are all, and we're all crying. We're like, yo, some of us are crying because it's over, others are crying because it's, it's touching, I don't know. I could do this all day. To do this all day. Yeah, I'm a pain in the ass though, but I give you a real reason why I give it to him harsh though, because one time he responded to a brother on Facebook that's in our nation, and the God that he responded to didn't respond properly. The proper response was "fuck you," but he said that the Nation of Islam is the hospital, and the 5%, the gods in the earth, us, we're the ambulance. So it's okay to get some help from the ambulance, but eventually you're gonna have to be taken to the hospital, which is why. And I'm like, fuck you and your stupid ass metaphor. You know what I mean? Because it's not really how it worked out. So the ambulance must have crashed and made up everything that you're fucking talking about now. Right? That ambulance must have went to a different hospital and built its own hospital, right? Because they didn't have shit. They didn't have supreme math. They didn't have supreme alphabet. They have father of civilization in a degree though. They're still reading the degrees though, like somebody else will be God, right? So the disrespect, You're like, nobody talk to me like that. Then you're gonna say this shit all slow? Imagine him saying that shit to my face all slow. I have to wait like 10 minutes before I tell him to go fuck himself, like, because he's gonna inflect everything. You're the ambulance, and we're the hospital we have to go to. Like, so I'm merging it with like the police chief in the Beverly Hills Cop. You know what I mean? Remember that? Yeah. Where Eddie Murphy was making fun of him. It's freaking crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's not. It's kind of nuts though. You know what I'm saying? So like when you read these books though, you got to read them with a little bit of religiosity. You know what I'm saying? Religiosity. You know what's interesting? I'll give you a thing, right? You know, there's a video. I shared it. I shared the link, and I had said, I don't know. I gotta watch it again. I had said, or it was another video. I had said racist Richard Dawkins. You know what I'm saying? And Richard Dawkins, because he has that European, you know, vibe of like, you know, I know what's right and wrong, and it comes off very pompous and condescending. But when you actually read Richard Dawkins' work, though, it doesn't come across as racist. It actually comes across, you know, very humane. You know what I mean? Especially the God delusion. You know what I mean? And his thoughts of why atheism is right and everything like that, and how he trashes all religions, which is, you know, it's fun to read, right? So what I'm saying is that, like, everything we're gonna read is by people that have different viewpoints and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But it's how you extract it. It's the opportunity cost, though. You know, it's the scams that's gonna be in there. And I wouldn't be saying that though, but like, you know, like certain people like Wesley or Wakil and stuff like that, their biggest jewels are just the shit that I was taught by elders that taught for me for free. You know what I'm saying? And then he gives it a new coat, literally a new coat. You know, and then Wakil, I don't have to get started about that. You know what I mean? There's whole incorrect lies in the books. You know what I mean? Or assumptions. You know, Firstborn Prince did ascetic rituals of Islam, and so he was more of a Muslim god. Man, he'd have shot his ass though. He said that shit to him. You know? He definitely would have brandished the pistol. Okay, he may not have shot him, but he may have brandished the pistol. You know? A little brandishing, you know? He definitely wouldn't have gone for that. But to have one letter from Firstborn Prince in the second volume of In the Name of Allah, volume 2, and he wrote that and had one letter, you know, and to make all these assumptions, you know, just crazy. You know what I mean? Just crazy. You know? Write about stuff that they weren't there. They have no firsthand research. They didn't talk to anybody that actually was. A lot of the people that was there for things that he talks about, they're still alive. You could have tried to ask them. You know what I'm saying? Right? Now you can read them. You know, it's fun, right? You could read it like just like Michael Muhammad Knight's books. You could read them like a smut rags. You know, like smut rag. You know, like I feel like reading a smut rag. You know what I mean? The equivalent of these books is like reading Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones, the history of Wu-Tang Clan. Like, you know, reading shit about people that they don't know shit about. You know what I mean? Like when Rolling Stone writes like that review they wrote about Nas's album. You know what I mean? Bitch ass Rolling Stone. Guys comparing Illmatic to paintings in the 18th century Europeans. How about comparing it to other music, black music? How about doing that? Like, you know what I mean? How about put it into a context, though? We shouldn't have to Google fucking, you know, 17th century, artwork to get how sublime Illmatic is, you know. And then you know, they come off pompous like that, and they really don't have knowledge. And then the next couple of paragraphs, they show that they don't even know any of the other Nas albums. So instead of looking for the right ancient, you know, 17th century oil painting, you probably should have just been going to Spotify and listen to the catalog. You know what I mean? And that's how a lot of things are. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, you'd be surprised. You know. Okay. Black Power, that shit is poisonous, guys, because those are the first books people now are introduced to about our culture nation. Yeah. You know, hey, I know I wasn't misquoted in Michael Muhammad Knight's book, but my quotes were misused. You know, how he used my quotes from, because I remember when he came, I didn't allow him to sit in my class, you know, because he wasn't a white man that was interested in getting knowledge of self. He was clearly, and said it, that he was interested in writing about it still. And I was like, you're not the one to write about this. I'm definitely not letting some white kid that don't know shit and just come in and write, you know, and then ask me all types of questions and shit. I remember we were in the cipher and I'm telling him all the wrong shit he did. And he goes, well, you know a lot about Firstborn Prince. I'd love to pick your brain and, you know, and maybe we could write a book about Firstborn Prince. This is the kind of shit that they have the audacity to, you know. Jeez. But a lot of things wrong. And Azrael, you know, if people read those books, the 5%ers by Michael Muhammad, Azrael always regretted that he tried to teach. Azrael taught Michael Muhammad Knight like he was his student.
Yeah.
And he always regretted that he just used it to share bad moments of our drama, and a lot of them that he got wrong. Like he just got wrong. They're technically wrong. I know this drama. You know what I'm saying? And then you get the shit wrong in there. You know what I'm saying? Having little bios of certain gods though, but you're writing about their criminal life, but not really writing about the understandings that they shared. You know? Don't tell me about he was this, he was that in the street. You know? Not if you're not gonna conclude the story the correct way. You know? You don't even get Wu-Tang, basic Wu-Tang Wikipedia knowledge right, you know? Have I read The True History of Allah and His 5%? What book is that? Is that what it's called? The book written by the older gods, right?
Yeah. The gods of the earth who are here.
Okay, yeah. I always laugh at that title though. It's just so epic, you know what I mean? Yeah, no, it's a great book, yeah. That's actually the gods, what they wrote. You know what I mean? And some of them become even more powerful. And for me, hard to look through them now. Like Allah, you know what I mean? And others, you know, that passed away since the book came out. You know? It becomes, if you're really in this nation though, I think it's a must-have, that book, you know? It's a must-have. Definitely. Firstborn Prince did all types of stuff, LT, you know what I mean? He also used guns, you know? Right? He also taught thousands and thousands of people this knowledge of self. You know what I mean? But when it came to rituals and ways of living, to what? Give him the cues of discipline. What we're talking about? He chose what he knew and studied, because he studied his entire Islamic history. And that included learning Arabic. Okay? And so a lot of the rituals to focus him, he used, you know what I'm saying? Now, when he did Salato, did he think of Allah as a mystery God? Or did he think about it as the unified mind of the black man and trying to focus his thoughts? You know? And people talk all about ascetic stuff though, and they have no idea that everyone that is consistent with discipline will make their own mathematical formulas to continually repeat them. You know what I'm saying? Just as a martial artist though, there are a lot of nearly ascetic things that I do ritualistically just to focus myself to the task at hand, you know? So there are ways that I move though. When I do certain forms, I've added certain things, you know what I mean? Just to stretch out and just align everything, focus and think, all of those kind of things. A person looking from far away be like, yo, I think it was with some Taoist, you know, mystery god or something like that, you know? And it's just the way that I just get focused, you know what I mean? And align everything and think about it, you know what I'm saying? right? The way that you lay out your room and everything like that, the things that you have that remind you of things. These are all be considered. It depends how far you go with them and how disabling they could become as opposed to useful. But certainly, a lot of the religious rituals Firstborn Prince performed, but I say as an ascetic, someone that was being extreme to reach results, you know, never taught me anything mysterious, you know, it wasn't even in the way he spoke, you know what I mean? Yeah, and definitely the book has a lot of insightful essays, a lot of beautiful stuff in there, you know? The Allah's 5%. A very respected God told me, he said, yes, we are gods, but you know there is always one above us. Oh, boy. Well, the respect that he has just got shot in a trash can because that's some bullshit right there. You know what I mean? That's some bullshit right there. You know? Because it's like anything. Prove it. Prove it. There's only one thing that's above me, and it ain't someone that's before me. It's what's in front of me. My children. You know what I'm saying? The best part. There's always one above us. You know what I'm saying? I tell you, why get this knowledge of self, though, and go through all this hassle and just do, you know, religion 3000 shit, right? What a fucking waste. They got better. You want to do religion? They got better places though. They got nicer seats than here. You know, if you do religion because they got places you could put your knees that are more comfortable than these chairs. You know what I'm saying? They got the pews with cushion and shit. Make your knees feel real good when you pray to that mystery God. Just go all out. Do it 100. You know what I mean? Do the mystery God 100. Don't do this shit halfway. We're gods, but there's big God in where? The babies are the best part. They said, Allahu Akbar. The father said, no, the babies are the greatest. The only thing that's above me is my children. Some bullshit. Sounds spooky to you, the LT station, yeah. Sounds spooky as fuck to me. You know? Sounds like a guy that's had a lot of fails in life, though, and now is trying to reconcile with them. Yeah, I'm God, but, you know, I've been fucking up here in this plane. You know what I mean? Yeah, I didn't even know there was like a prayer emoji. That's crazy right there. Smells good. You would chant for that one. Prayer emoji. I like that. This shit is funny. He put the X and then the prayer emoji. Shit's like looks almost like a bathroom emoji. Like you could put you should have a sign like that. Like I'm in the bathroom praying. Like you put that in the bathroom. Right? 7 yeah, meditate center, you know. And the thing is though, like, you know, for all the publicness that people saw him living here, Firstborn Prince, and it's still his life. It's still his private life that people were looking and peeking in and being nosy, you know, because he lived in a public place. But don't get it twisted. Just because you see someone's living doesn't mean you know how they live in. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Yeah, religion 3000, you know. The super outcast, right? Just put that shit in there, you know. All right, Gregory, peace. All right, around $20. We sit at home, wait for Mr. God to bring you food. Finally, now we don't search, right? Don't search, though. You know what I'm saying? As a creator, you should be searching your mind for the unknown and answering, what if? What if I do this? What if I create this? You know? Supreme Scientist says, Abu Shahid says some dumb shit like that to me. He also said, I shouldn't call myself a scientist because that means I only deal with what is quantifiable and measurable. That's crazy because the beauty of a scientist, though, is that everything that isn't quantifiable and measurable, we always know that it has the potential to be known. Everything unknown has the potential to be unknown because everything unknown is just the stages of creation. It will be created. You know, that's crazy. You know what I mean? I never was a fan of Bouchard because a lot of his later writings, he literally would write as if the original people were just African American. You know, you know, that's corny though. That's like, you know, we already got those books, Elijah, right? We don't need you to write the same shit Elijah said. You know, Elijah wrote incredible stuff, incredible speeches. Like, we don't need you to, you know, remix. You know, indeed, yeah. Boy, you know, it disappoints me though, LT. You know, it really disappoints me. You know that you know, I got my email there. You should tell me who did that though. I'm mad curious though. Disrespected guy. Because if I know him though, I'm gonna tell him. You know? But you know, the thing is though, is that like that's what bothers me. Like people going out there and they hear, you know, if you don't know shit, send people to the school. Don't be answering the shit with some half shit, you know. That's right, Universal. Yeah, science deal with facts, facts based on reality. Right? Why does the devil call people African? We're Asiatic. Mm-hmm. Right, yeah. Well, we can only be understood as Asiatic those if we learn, once we learn that we're all one people and how we are connected. And for that, though, that's why your research into history and archaeology can't just find origin of African civilization. It has to find all of the how everything's separated too. And scholarship is hardly begun on, you know, we got like how we got separated, but where? And how did we become black, brown, yellow? That's why some people go, the brown and yellow was made during the grafting process. People have such bad knowledge of archaeology, and archaeology itself hasn't answered these questions completely. And we have, those of us haven't analyzed what is there properly, that we make assumptions that are stupid like that. You know what I mean? Okay. I'm not sure if I remember who it is though, but yeah, email me, refresh my memory though. You know, I don't have memory for idiots. But Asia, Bodyland, yeah, definitely. All plans go Asia. That's right, from Pangea, right? But yeah, well, you know, we got 1 minute left. It's gonna be 10 o'clock now. My bad on the technical difficulties and stuff, you know. But once we got started, we got rolling, and hopefully this was all useful to you. I did get that book, Finding Fart. I downloaded it though, so good looking out for that, Supreme Scientist. Appreciate that. And if you want the Stone Legacy book or anything like that, email me. Okay. I'm just trying to get that. Right. And for all the columns that I've been writing about each week's class or inspired off the class and my thoughts, best piece universal. Yeah, definitely need that. Yeah, it's one of the first I always give. So, you know, if you email me, you'll have it though. But if anybody else that's watching and you're quiet, you're not taking part or whatever, you know, definitely, you know. But due to knowledge to all that and stuff like that, and until next time, you know what I mean? Stay healthy, build strong, and create this universe. You know what I mean? All right. Peace.